hit is one of the defining songs for one of Canada's seminal bands.
She's a girl with a problem and there's nothing I can do.
A #1 single that its writer Jay Semko has played thousands of times. Both as a member of the Northern Pikes and as a solo artist, since it became a hit 30 years ago.
You can bang your head against a brick wall.
But Semko says in recent years, he also realized he'd been telling a lie when he sang Girl with a Problem, at least in terms of who the song is about.
You feel better protected when you can put it on to somebody else. But ultimately, when I looked at that song as years went by, I thought I was writing about myself, man. That was not about anybody else. That was me.
You can lie to me, and you can lie to yourself for a while, till those lies.
Semko, who has struggled with both mental illness and addiction, says he now sees just how autobiographical many of his biggest songs have been.
Here in Teenland, oh.
Teenland being a song that was written really as a bit of a retrospective of my teenage years, and at that time I was really starting to experience a lot of pretty wild mood swings up and down, and started self-medicating with various substances.
We're the Northern Pikes from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan.
In the late 80s and early 90s, Saskatoon's Northern Pikes became a huge success, touring across Canada and the United States.
And there's me having a smoke in a hotel room.
The trappings of a rock and roll lifestyle didn't help ease the issues Semko faced, but he also doesn't look at them as an excuse.
Yeah, there are temptations. It's rock and roll, and let's face it, there's lots of alcohol and lots of drugs around. But at the end of it all, it all comes down to me. It's all my choice. Nobody forced me to guzzle alcohol or to do drugs. Nobody forced me to do that. Those are my own choices, and I accept responsibility for that.
He experienced both being institutionalized for his bipolar disorder and going to a treatment center for addiction earlier in his life. He suffered a relapse in 2018 after having been sober for 12 years and returned for a 2-month stay at a treatment center to help him deal with both issues, further demonstrating to him that they will be a part of his life for the rest of his life.
I still have to go back and deal with that stuff sometimes. Part of my past was involved keeping quiet about stuff and keeping secrets. And when I came to that point where I was not afraid to share my story with people, it was a bit of a door opening. It was like something opening where it was like, whoa, when I do this from a purely selfish point of view, it does something for me, positive for me.
And that's how he ended up back here at Evan Hardy Collegiate.
Well, my name's Jay.
He graduated from the school more than 40 years ago and recently returned to share his story.
And I really felt pretty bad about myself, and I was thinking about killing myself.
Semko says it was nice, if a little surreal, being back performing on this auditorium stage, where the dream of being a musician began with a performance many years ago during a variety night.
Smiling down upon me now.
Just as there were mixed feelings about being back at his alma mater, Jay says playing these songs, especially the more autobiographical ones, can also create some inner conflict.
Sometimes it makes you want to scream.
But by and large, he still enjoys playing them, in part because they are still popular, especially with audiences that might be closer to the age of these students' parents. He believes when it comes to younger crowds, the greater value comes in using his ears as opposed to his voice.
So many people are dealing with the same thing, and we don't really know until we share our stuff. But it's so neat and cool and interesting and really possibly life-changing to have somebody say, you know what, I've dealt with the same thing.
And while managing his illness and addictions will be something he has to deal with for the rest of his life, He is a firm believer in the mantra of taking things one day at a time. And on this day, he finds himself in a good place.
If I keep reminding myself, just deal with today. That's the only thing I have any actual power over, is today. I'm just lucky. I'm happy to be here. As we were talking about before, you know, I feel very grateful to be here walking and talking, and I just feel really blessed and really grateful that I've lived the life that I have. If my story can help somebody along the way with the good, the bad, and the ugly, then good. Then that's what I'm here for, and that's what I'm meant to do.
Thank you.